Please bear with me with the extreme close-up as I give a silky smooth introduction with my face actually near my microphone to avoid echo and shitty audio as I attempt to match Urbs' wonderful audio and great looks. Not going to match the cool glasses. We are back live on the Audible Angle, and we are bringing you today the long-awaited World Cup, not really preview, but initial thoughts after the draw. We finally have the draw. We kind of know who we're playing. We kind of know when we're playing who. But, man, this year is different with... It's 48 teams, am I right? Did I count them up right? 48 teams.
You got it.
Top two teams advance, but some third place teams advance, which is totally new and different. We don't know who we're necessarily playing. Even if we guess the position, we're exiting the group. Of course, we assume we're going to make it out of the group. We'll get to that shortly. But let's start at the beginning, Urbs. At what point did you start watching the official draw show?
I'm going to admit something. I watched absolutely zero of it. It was over. I was at a high school basketball game. It happened. I got very limited updates from my friends. One of you being on the call today. But I believe. I mean, you go back to the last episode. I think there's something wrong technologically with your texting. Like there's a very big lull, like hours, potentially days when you don't reply. But that is what it is. Jersey gave me maybe one update, which was great. Was really appreciative of that. But I did not watch any of it. But I did hear. If we could have our intro as long as their intro was before they did any picking, I think we'd lose all 9 of our viewers. All 9.
Hey, hold on, folks. That is a gross understatement of how many viewers and listeners we have. For one, you don't even have access to all the different platform numbers, so there's
True.
that. And number two, it's certainly more than 9. I mean, I know you're trying to be funny and everything, but it is significantly more, including international listeners, which we should pay a little more attention to. You know, they're trying to get a feel for the real grassroots American sports scene, and today's a great opportunity for it with the World Cup discussion. I will say, I like to establish a comfort zone around text replies and answering the phone and stuff like that. Keep expectations low, and it's never a problem. I try to give my wife that advice when something gets going with the figure skating board or the tri-county, 5-county parks commission stuff she's on and stuff. I'm like, you got to just not reply for a while, because then they're going to understand you're not a quick replier. Otherwise, they think you're a quick replier, and that's one of the worst things.
It worse.
Yeah, that's one of the worst things you can do. Yeah,
you're making it worse.
Be the person that's hard to get a hold of.
You're doing it on purpose.
It's great in life.
Now I feel like you're doing it on purpose. You're purposely not replying to my pre-production notes, and we've got a show. The show must go on,
and we will move on as quickly. I will give our listeners and viewers on the many platforms available, Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, the primary avenues. Subscribe on all 3, and remember, try to set up different accounts and subscribe and comment back to yourself. Remember, folks, we actually reply to comments because we don't get a lot of them. So we take the time to reply whenever we think of it, which isn't always, it's like my texting reply schedule. Could be immediate, could be a couple days. But if you ever think that I do a long intro and wander around and you wonder what the hell I'm even talking about, try watching the World Cup draw show in its entirety. Urbs, I'm in line for It's a Small World at Disney. I did take a little vacation time. It wasn't all work. Well, I'll be honest with you. It wasn't all work. And I will say, yes, when you get the receipts to send over to accounting, yeah, they are $13 beers. That really was one beer at a time. All right. You might think it was two or three beers at a time. It was one beer at a time over the course of several days. That's a lot
I
of
told you it
one.
was carte blanche. It was carte blanche. We decided that in the budget meeting. You could do what you wanted. It was your vacation for all the hard work and grass-rooted this thing. You deserved it. So I'm glad you enjoyed it.
What I didn't deserve was to be checking my phone, burning battery, sliding in earbuds, pretending I can still hear what my family's saying to me. And I don't even think I'm exaggerating. You know, Google check me. What do you call that? Fact check me? Fake
Fact check.
news? Whatever it is these days. It was 2 hours before they touched any balls. And I've never, I mean, I'm, you know, maybe don't grab the balls right away. I get that. Leave some intrigue, build up to it a little bit.
Are
Two
we still
hours?
talking the World Cup draw? Are we still talking the World Cup draw?
Honey, I'm out of there, man. I'm not waiting 2 hours for the ball grabbing. It's insane. It was singing and dancing, and our the leader of our country got a peace award, well deserved. There's more peace awards than you
I
can keep
love it.
track of. The FIFA World Cup, not a stanchion of far right politics by any means, awards the guy a peace award. Amazing stuff. Amazing stuff. And then I did listen to some of his acceptance speech. He got right into, hey, let's sell some tickets. This is gonna be a great event. Oh, and also I probably should thank you and peace to the world and let's party, basically. So that took us through the first hour. And then there's some more song and dance. And by the time we finally got to grabbing balls, as probably happened. We won't say when. We don't want to create any timeline narratives, but at some point in our lives, there's probably some ball grabbing where you kind of didn't know what was going on, and that's how it was with the World Cup draw because there's 48 teams. You can't have two teams from the same federation, even though there's now 48 teams. You still can't have two from the same federation in the same group. Except for UEFA, you can have two European teams in the same group. So once you get past the first draw, you're sliding, I guess even in the first pick, you could. I don't think any came up maybe until J or, Group H or something. But then they don't get put in that group. They get slid down a group. So it wasn't a great watch, and that's why we're here for you. We wanted to give you a feeling of the 2 hour intro. I'm giving Urbs a feel for that by not letting him talk for the first 7 minutes. 8 minutes. Wow. Overall, we get to brass tacks. It's actually a good thing you didn't watch it, Urbs, because then we'd have to get 8 minutes of your thoughts on the show. We can get right into it with the men's national mashing. They're going to mash. Group D. Your thoughts?
Yeah. I overall thought, and I hope this is the thought from my fellow Americans, if you will. I feel like I'm making an acceptance speech. I think it's a good draw, right? Like we've got familiar faces in Paraguay. We just played them like 2 matches ago and handled them fairly easily with that. Again, we're going to go back to earlier episodes with that A-B team, if you will, right? Like it won't be our World Cup roster. It'll be a different roster that we played with them before. So they're going to see some different players, but there's some familiarity there. And I don't think Australia is a complete pushover, but I do think that that's a very winnable game. And then whoever we get in that for that fourth team that finishes it up, and that's going to be between Turkey A, otherwise formerly known as Turkey, but it is now Turkey A, Romania, Slovakia, and Kosovo, which we all know Kosovo from some conflict that happened I think in the 90s. I believe the Kosovo
Or perhaps
conflict.
from like some kind of freedom concert we went to under inauspicious terms in the 90s region of time. I believe I was at a Tibetan freedom concert. I don't know if I was at a Free Kosovo concert, but get a bunch of bands together, change the world, make it a better place, steal Michael Jackson's We Are the World thing. And then, hey, did the money go anywhere? We don't know. We did it help end anything? No idea.
We're called the Audible Angle for a reason. We are called the Audible Angle because we will throw politics in there, and I think we just did. I mean, it was an appropriate throw in. It kind of gave a glimpse from your growth in what your political leanings may have been early in your political exploration, if you will. And I mean, if you went to some of those concerts and you donated your hard-earned money or your college fund that your parents gave you, I mean, it is what it is, right? You did what you had to do at that time, and you explored some things.
Yeah, definitely did some exploration. Just general advice for all of the listeners, and this includes worldwide listeners. If you find yourself donating to anything remotely close to a political cause, reference this episode and do not send any hard-earned money really anywhere. Even, I try to help out, some things, Toys for Tots, you like some charity stuff, but I'll tell you what, find somebody you can directly hand your donation to help them out, or donate some time directly to people,
Jim Dillenberg, Eric Urban, Audible Angle. It's a great
Audible
cause.
Angle. And I'll tell you what, we are for profit, so you'll know where that money goes. It goes straight to our work vacations. And just a little shout out to I think the most recent total failure to do anything is the massive California wildfire concert. I believe all the money raised there all disappeared to... guys, it's a fucking known scam, like every political campaign. Who's the campaign manager? A wife, relative, or friend? Who's the advertising broker? Wife, friend. Why do you think Bernie Sanders, pardon our politics, think what you want about the guy, why do you think he keeps running and gets absolutely butt rammed by his party at some point in the primary season? He knows it's coming. He doesn't mind because he collects I'm the grassroots. Send $20. I don't take money from super PACs except whoops-a-daisy. Maybe I do. This isn't a news show, so this isn't necessarily fact. I'm not getting the names right, but I'm guessing, who do you think buys all the millions of dollars of ads? Who do you think is like the broker that takes like 10% probably off the top of those deals? That's $100,000 to Billy Bob, neighbor, friend, wife. I think, I'm not going to say what I think because I care so little that I may mix and match names, but a lot of times it is literally the wife is like the advertising manager or has a advertising firm or whatever. So when they sell the deal and place their ads, they automatically get a cut. Everybody's staff is getting cuts, and then we all disappear, and we raised $33 million in a 100% losing effort. No chance to win your own party. There's 0% chance, and raises millions of dollars from a bunch of people that have hundreds of dollars only, like ourselves, and it just all goes to nowhere. So
on the level of rants on Audible Angle in our 12 episodes or 10 episodes that we've had, that right there, my friends, is one of the best rants I have heard in a while. Outside of just grab the balls. Just grab the balls.
I mean, it's not even a rant. I'm not even upset. I mean, I'm not yet. It's so, what would be best for the program is if we had some guy on here, or gal, could be a
How about
gal.
a
Let's not
tangent?
get
It was a
weird.
tangent. It's a
Human.
tangent.
Have a human on. We should get one. Let's try to find one who explains the greatness of donating your own money to 100% for sure losing campaigns. And even the winners, they don't need you. So, I mean, get out of town and, support this and have a sign. Don't get me started on whatever war, you want to pretend you're an expert on this week. Like, just end them. How about that? Just take a stance. I'm anti-war, and I'm certainly not smart enough to choose a side and fucking start raising flags and wearing clothes and sending money. Like, hey, and that's almost in any case. Yeah, sure, there's some where you can at some point declare a side, but just the total whitewashing of. I think we all know which one I'm talking about, as if it just came out of nowhere in the Eastern European / Asian war zone. Like, oh, it's nothing related to the toppling of governments 10 years prior. Nothing to do with that. It just came out of the blue. Whoever is a madman, they're crazy. They lost their mind and invaded for no reason whatsoever. Okay.
Hey, Dilly, what do you think
The
of
World
the
Cup.
World Cup draw?
World Cup draw. Fucking
US.
Paraguay. Get out of my life, Paraguay. I'm so sick of that landlocked. Are they the landlocked one, or is it Uruguay that's landlocked? I think Paraguay is landlocked. I mean, get a coast. What are you thinking? Have a coast. Check a map quick.
It's got to be right there.
Can't see. Too dark. Hold on. Paraguay
Meantime.
landlocked.
Yeah,
Knew it.
That's what I thought. Yep. South America.
Landlocked,
South America.
boys. So Paraguay was the first ball out of there, I believe. At least the order of the games, I will say. Back to the format. We do know the order of the games, too, and that was kind of predetermined. Just to cover it, because Irby said it, now we said Paraguay, Irby said Australia. Our pseudo friends, like the people, government, get a new government. Jeez, authoritarian much? Okay. And then probably Turkey.
Really?
It's UEFA playoff C winner. Irby went over it. Do we really think Romania is going to come out of there, or Kosovo? We don't. We think it's
I
Turkey.
think the Slovaks have a chance. I think it's most likely going to be Romania or Slovak. I mean, although Turkey is predominantly been in the World Cup. Turkey is always there, and they're going to be the team that's going to sneak up on you. They show that they're the fourth worst team. I guess the worst team in the group, but they probably won't be. I think they're better than Paraguay. If Turkey A does come out, that's the team I don't want to see come out of that. But I believe that's probably. I think you're right. I think that's who will come out. And I can't get used to Turkey A. Why are we calling them Turkey A? Because they chose to call. I'd like us to go back to our original name, the 13 colonies. That's what I would like us to be called. From now on, the United States will be the 13 colonies. Can you do that? Like, who's got the say? Who at Turkey A decided to say it's no longer Turkey, it's Turkey A, and who listened? I guess we all listened because we're calling them that on the show.
I mean, Urbs, you're really trying to draw us into political banter here. And I know that was one of your goals for the Audible angle. But it's kind of like, dare I say it, the Gulf of America. I mean, again, folks, let's not pretend that if, let's say, the United States of America calls a body of water, it's mandated that the whole rest of the world must also change what they name it. I mean, I don't know what Guatemala calls it. Maybe Guatemalans think it's a Gulf of Guatemala. I don't. It's such a hilarious, issue that people get bent out of shape about. Yeah. Estados Unidos
Yeah,
is what
I think
Mexican.
that's not a terrible thought. Like, but here's the deal: we listen, and I'm going to include myself because I said Turkey 6 times on this episode. I'm listening to someone. I don't know who told me to say that. I actually looked it up and said, "Why are we now calling them Turkey?" I first heard it from Alexi Lawless, like in a friendly 3 years ago. He's like, "It's Turkey," and I'm like, "It's not. It's not. It's fucking Turkey. Is this a country I've never heard of? It has to be a country that was just made up. Like Kosovo, I thought was a city. Like I honest to God thought Kosovo was a city, and now it's a country. And I honestly thought that there was I thought Kosovo was a place, like a city, like a physical city, like Moscow. It's Kosovo. But I don't understand, I don't understand who in Turkey decided to say, call us Turkey, and now we're listening. So to the same effect that you're saying, it's not the Gulf of America, but we can call it. I can say it on this podcast, and maybe it's going to hold. Right? I mean, Donnie is somebody, at least he's in the political climate of the United States. He's the president of the United States, right? But who in Turkey? I'm asking this for real. Like, is there a listener that can say, like, who made it Turkey? Like, what was it? Does Turkey have a president? No, I don't think that's a dictatorship there, isn't it? Like, it's not a nice country. I don't think, is it?
I mean, they're kind of on the fence. They're a little back and forth over in Turkey. Yeah, it just comes down to,
Turkey.
imagining that we call every country, much let's not even go down to city level, by the correct name in the native tongue. That's not necessarily, other countries don't do that here. It's just weird. It's a weird thing, and it also brings up the selective. And this is stealing from various clips that you see. If it's a Latin name, suddenly the newscaster has a Latin accent. And I forgot, it was like some guy, some Irish guy. Do they Paddle Murphy when they say his name, do they switch to an Irish accent? It's whatever. So we're gonna say Turkey or Turkey. We're gonna say whatever we want. We're calling the fucking bums of the universe on match day. We don't give a shit. Paraguay, you mentioned. Landlocked. Come on, guys. And we did play them in a friendly. I'm assuming that their lineup will be a little bit different too. They're a bottom Connemole team. So you'd think we'd have. They're not a total pushover. It's not like we're playing Trinidad and Tobago. Whoo, nightmares. Or anything like that. But they are, I believe they were the lowest qualifying team out of South America. We should be favored in every match. I do have a question for you on Australia. Is Tim Cahill still playing? Do they still fire him back up for World Cups?
I don't believe so, but they could. There's a possibility. I mean, you can do anything you want, I suppose. I mean, if Phillip Rivers can come back and play for the Colts, I think you can do about anything you want in the World Cup. Let's be honest. I mean, if Phil Rivers plays, and I'm going on my own little tangent here, but if Phil Rivers starts for the Colts on Sunday, come on. I mean, is it?
I'm checking.
I think. Well, I mean, the backup guy has got an MCL or something with his knee. But here's the deal: Phil Rivers, there's two things. One of two things that are going to happen in that game, and I know it's outside of U.S. men's national team. We just wanted to tease, we're kind of teasing at that right now because that's not till June. I mean, it's 6 months out. But anyway, 7 months. So if Phil Rivers starts, he's either throwing for 350 and 4 tutties, or he's broken in half. There's going to be no in between. Like he's either going to leave in 2 pieces, like 2 carts. Like his upper body's on one cart and his lower body's on the other cart. Or he's going to throw for 350, 4 tutties, no interceptions, and he's gonna daggone his way all the way through to the end. Like he might take him to the promised land. Those are the two things that could happen. Do you see anything in between?
It's well, it's not going to be 350. The Seahawks are pretty tough. It's a terrible game for him to come back for, but it'll be fun, and I'll sure as hell be watching. I think it's in the afternoon, so it'll be on a secondary TV, but it's a hell of a story. Obviously I jest with Tim Cahill. Do you recall Tim Cahill from Australia?
I do.
Yeah, I didn't look up further. He was born in 1979, but he had to play in damn near 6 World Cups. 4 at least. Had to be in 4, and he was a real poacher for Australia. I don't know. We did beat them in the friendly. We played them, was it earlier this year even, right? I believe we did.
Yes, we did.
But the teams, those two teams are the main ones we can talk about. What's that?
4 World Cups for Tim Cahill. 6, 10, 14, and 18.
They're both in a position, Paraguay and Australia, where they're probably going to be low block. They're probably going to try to, stack. Low block just means basically they're stacking the defense. They're packing it in tight. They're packing the lane, daring us to shoot threes. And we have to get accustomed to that, and hopefully we have the skill to put away our opportunities, and that will force them out of the low block eventually if you score a couple. And usually teams like that, it's kind of U.S. used to play a little bit more like that, like just pack it in, try to get some breakaways, and if you're athletic and fast, maybe you can get some breakaways. Maybe a little, we've discussed in the pre-show, which actually happens, folks, when we write the script, that it's going to be pretty unclear who we play in the second round, because in this iteration of the World Cup, some third-place teams will still advance, and so it's not as definitive like the winner of Group A plays second-place Group D. That used to be a thing. Now it's much more variable. Knowing at least what we know now, and I'm going to take a wild guess and say, because a lot of teams in that area and that federation play that way, so I'd even think Turkey is in the same group. But Paraguay and Australia for sure are going to go low block. Does that affect your thoughts on U.S., which we believe they should and will, advance out of the group as a first-place team, which would actually be into the round of 32. But by the time you get to round of 16, again, we're making some assumptions here, and suddenly you have to basically switch to where, or likely switch to, you're almost a low block team. You're going from full possession, playing a low block, trying to find a way to break through, and now you're playing Argentina, Germany, Spain, Portugal, a team that's going to come at you and have you back on your heels. Do you think that poses any challenges as far as the duration of the tournament into the rounds after the group stage, that we have to basically play potentially play two very different styles in order to win?
The answer is I don't think it. I don't think that in and of itself poses a challenge for the national team, and it shouldn't. Right? Like I think that I have enough faith in Ponch and the skilled players that we have on our team that we can. Now I will tell you that I think we're less experienced at this point in playing a low block. That's not our style. I don't think I've seen it in the lead up now. Like I don't believe I've seen us play a low block, and that's probably a good thing to where we are, in the world as far as our team. Like we believe we can beat anyone face to face. Now, I think it makes sense. If I remember right, we played a friendly against Germany maybe 2 years ago, and we got smoked. It was like 5-0. It wasn't even close. That's a game where we probably should have played a low block and try to keep that a tighter game. But that also is a scenario where you're waving the white flag before the game is even decided. So you're, in any game, any level of soccer, when you see someone come out in a low block, it says, we can't beat you 1v1. We can't beat you the way the game is supposed to be played. So we're going to slow this thing down. We're going to make it more difficult to break us down. That's in some senses, that's the way teams play, period. But that's not the US way. But so to your point, Dilly, the only change I see if it goes from game to game is how we have to play. Is we're going to then play different personnel, which then makes us then we may are going to be maybe less dangerous, or we're going to play more of a. That's where you might see Bulligan because he's faster than an attack than a target forward, right? So you're going to play somebody that can get out and play on that counter attack. So if you have to play a low block, you're going to change your personnel a bit, which then I don't think that it really goes to the formation, but the formation will tell you what personnel you put in there, right? So it indirectly will play, but I don't think it's because we are more comfortable with one or the other. I think our players are at this point in the world, in the US, good enough to play any of those styles. The key is I don't think we're as used to playing a low block, and I don't think that fits our personnel as well. So I don't think we see it. I think, but that is going to open ourselves up for a 3-0, 4-0, 5-0 loss in the round of 16. And that's what's going to be caught in the craws of some folks. But I would rather see that than us try to steal a game. But then there's going to be an argument from somebody out there that says, nope, we steal one. We go to if you can get to the final 8 in the World Cup, you do it. Doesn't matter how. I agree. But I would rather, test us, because we have these same players will be the same players mostly that are going to be playing in the next World Cup. So let's see where we stack up and see if we can improve. Because the best teams in the world, the Dutch don't change. You change for the Dutch. You don't, Italy doesn't change. You change for Italy. Germany doesn't change. You change for Germany. And I want us in the same conversation of we don't change, we're the United States. You change for us. And that's what we are against Paraguay. That's what we are against Turkey. That's what we are against Australia. I don't think we're there in the top against the top 10. Like if we play Spain and we play a low block, Jim, we're going to lose the same as if we played them straight up because they want the ball. And if you give them the ability to have the ball, you're making a mistake. Don't give them half the field. Make them go 3/4 of the field with pressure because that's where you're going to open them up as well. They do want to play that possession game, but who cares? Do it in a full field. Don't play half the field.
Yeah, and part of this might be just, I converted the strategy of Paraguay and Australia in teams that are, they're still pretty committed to a low block, which you're right. We have not been. So the type of tactical change or emphasis change that we might have to make as we progress in the tournament is more like, a little less free release forward for our wingbacks and our holding midfielders. It's going to come down to awareness and playing our game, playing the protect, version of our game. I agree with you wholeheartedly. We have to. At no point should we feel like we have to convert all the way back to minnows playing against sharks. We might be tuna against sharks. We got a little speed, a little bite, or smaller sharks against larger sharks. Some analogy. I was taking a peek at our friendlies because I believe we said about 12 different teams and usually got them wrong. Our friendlies in the lead up to the World Cup are Belgium, Germany, Portugal, and then the last one is Senegal. I don't know as much about Senegal. I think, are they the top team out of Africa this year?
I
think
believe
they
so.
might be.
Yep.
And maybe, it'll be interesting to see how those friendlies play out. Not necessarily that like they're it's not like a regular season NFL game and a NFL playoff game because teams desperately in the NFL need to win the regular season game as well. I don't think the Packers aren't holding back last week or in 2 weeks against the Bears. They're not holding much back because they might have to play them in the playoffs. And I think in the friendlies, the thing that might be held back, anybody with any kind of injury isn't going to play, and you're going to see a lot more subs. But those are big time matchups, even in friendlies. Even if you only get, what would you get? Maybe 60 minutes at most of full tilt, top 11 on top 11, maybe less. But you're going to get some of that. You're going to get a taste of that. Of course, you want to perform well and have some confidence. I would think in those matches, we'll be playing pretty open and free.
And I think we should. I think you're going to for sure see the first half. We may make changes, depending on injuries and all that stuff. But I think we make changes probably 10 minutes into the second half. And that's when you're going to see that other, hopefully we get a good 10 minutes with some of our top 4 or 5 reserves that'll come in and play their first team defenders, right, if you will. So that's what you want to see. And then after that, you're kind of mixing and matching. I don't know if friendlies have sub rules as they would. I think that's a little bit freer on the friendly scale. So I think that you're going to your point, I think you do get a good 60 minutes for sure, 45, depending on the result, right? Like if it's 4-0 at half, you're not trotting Pulisic out there again, more. Like you're going to see some reserves in there after half, because what's the point? He's cold. Why would you even think about getting him in an injury position going into the World Cup? Dilly, I think we've spent 40 minutes now on the men's national team. We do have to get into a quick recap of the Bears Packers. If you want to lead us off and kind of give us an overview of what you thought on the Bears Packers. And I mean, those games have a big, I guess I use this term a lot, but a tidal wave of expectation, right? A tidal wave, if you will, like the 90s, front hair look, right, to that lead up. Did the game fit the bill?
Urbs? Green 19! Green 19, hut!
Audible.
Calling audible. Production meeting stuff here. Let's take 8 more minutes on World Cup, wrap it, and then come back and do the full wrap on Packers Bears.
Gotcha. Fair enough.
2 things, and I forgot them because I got excited by the big wave. Do you think this is awkward for quick sidebar? I think this is awkward for listeners. We do a course correction change and
it's audible
each
angle.
other's questions.
It's audible angle for a reason. I mean, we have to stick to there was a vision when we started this 13 short weeks ago. There's we had a vision of what would happen, and we knew that nothing could be planned, nothing could be scripted. We do our best to script. We do our best to have a great production team, and Bob is looking at me like with those eyes. Do you know what the eyes from Bob, producer Bob?
Yeah,
I mean, he's giving me those eyes, and quite frankly, I think he should be giving you those eyes. You're the one that audibled. I was going this way, and you asked for a zig. I was zigging, and you zagged. So continue on. Let's finish up the World Cup thoughts, and we'll come back on that next episode with the Packers Bears, Packers Broncos. Let it rip.
And I should have done can because that's we called 2 plays in the huddle. Or I could have just done that, but you were doing all this shit. I don't know if you weren't looking. Yeah, you were all over the place.
Sorry.
Final wrap on World Cup. I'll forget. Oh, nah. 2 things. I remember now. Have you paid any attention to Pulisic lately in Italy? I mean, he's kind of. Now this is U.S. media base. but he's playing some of the best ball in the whole league. Or is it the best ball?
In that league, I think there's always that's that age old argument: is Serie A as good as the Premiership? As good as the Bundesliga? There's those, and that's not what we're talking about. In that league, he's a stud, man. He is Captain America. Don't get me, the guy is the real deal. And Ponch, you can say as much as you want to the media out there that there isn't anyone guaranteed. Pulisic is guaranteed a spot on that team. If he doesn't make the team, barring us a bone that's sticking out the wrong way, he's on that fucking roster. There's no question to it.
Yeah, broken tibia. And we won't get him until possibly a fifth match. He's on the roster. He's still on
the roster. He's on the roster.
Yeah.
45 years old. Thoughts. He's on the roster. 45, Phil Rivers, Christian Pulisic, he's on the roster.
New thing. One more quick thing. Did you watch the pre-show, not the actual draw, but with Lawless, Kobe, and Taylor Twellerman, and the guy you couldn't recognize?
I didn't, but I do love me some Taylor Twellman, because that meltdown that he had back when we didn't make, when we blew it out, that the Taylor Twellman meltdown is an all-timer. If we had a better producer, he would be able to key that up, and it could be playing right now in the background, right? When we're talking. But that meltdown was all-timer. Talk to me about it. I did not see it, so give me the synopsis. Give me the summary.
The summary is Landon Donovan is the guy I'm like, I know who this fucking guy is. How can I not place him?
You don't remember Landon Donovan? He's the leading scorer, all-time leading scorer.
Urbs, I'm going to do something first time in show history.
Fact-checking?
Start talking about what you think success for the U.S. men is just in the group stage to start, because it's hard to predict. Maybe we get some, England loses some and we get matched up somehow with a good team. It's always hard to project out when you don't know who you're playing, but tell us about group stage thoughts, and I'm going to blow your mind.
All right. Group stage to me, Dilly, and that's an interesting question. What does success look? Now, we have to understand that the majority of our games are going to be on U.S. soil. So we're playing at home, and that does factor into what success looks like. And I think success looks like, number one, Paraguay, it has to be it has to be a win handily. And what I mean by that, it's a 2-0 win. It's a 3-0 win. The game is never in doubt. We're in control. We dominate possession. We have chances. And then that one goes by the way, as it should, right? By script, in what we all as Americans and American soccer fans see what should happen. So that's Paraguay. Australia on the other side, I think they're going to compete, but I think they're going to compete a little bit more desperate than what we may expect. So what that's going to do is open up. I think we win that. They probably score one just because of the way they play. It's a little helter-skelter. The Socceroos don't really have a formation, if you will. They're dependent on their individual skill. So it's hard. It reminds me a lot of the good Jamaican teams in the past. So they were good individually, not as a group. So their tactical skills are a little bit suspect. Technically, they're very solid, and they're bigger boys. So I think that game is where we would give our first goal up in the group stage, but we need to win that game by a goal or two, right? So we win that 3-1. That's success. Now that third game, we have to assume for this conversation that it's Turkey A or whomever else you put in there. Turkey A is going to be a tough game, but I think if we win both of our games with good goal differential there in the first two, that game is less important. and maybe we play more players than what you would normally see. You start with your first 11, but then you kind of rotate in the 5 or 6 guys, maybe 7 guys that you wouldn't normally. So that's successful. If we tie that match, I wouldn't be upset. If we lose it and we still advance, not real worried. If it comes down to the fact that we need to take first, we'll play accordingly because that's what we really ultimately want. But success looks like 2-1, 2-0-1 if you want to look at records. But I think those first 2 wins have to be by multiple goals with multiple chances. Now, the thing about soccer is not all your chances are going to hit the back of the net, but we do have to make chances. Our chances, I will go as granular as say, Dilly, we have to have multiple digit, so 2-digit chances every game, right? Like we have to have 10 or more chances on goal legitimate in those first 2 games. That third game's the wild card. We don't know who we're going to play. Let's assume it's Turkey A. That's going to be a tougher match, but I think our future with winning 2, our future going into the knockout round is already sorted. So that really depends, and it's hard to prognosticate what's going to happen, but I see success as 2-0-1 or 2-1, and then we advance. Blow my mind. God, who is that? That's Landon Donovan?
And
From
I'll
when?
tell you what, Landon, I know you're a friend of the program, certainly this episode, hopefully a subscriber soon. Maybe we can work together. That is with all love. I mean, do you? It's awesome. I think it's awesome that he made the bold move to just say, and he has talked about it. I just had no fucking idea. And on the show that he's on, he was a little tan. You know, he hasn't played soccer in a while. He's probably 10 pounds heavier. He's not fat or anything. A little heavier, tan, and you know, I don't have the extreme. I mean, maybe even if I pull it back, I mean, he's at 30. He was this guy, like all the way back, bald and shaved it down. I just thought he went, I'm shaved head guy 15 years ago, but I guess it has kind of bothered him, and he kind of didn't like it or whatever. So hat tip to him for just going for it and being open about it and saying he likes it. And I say, I mean, I like wearing shirts unbuttoned down to here. I don't ask anybody what they think of that. So it just was a little mind blowing, and I thought it might blow your mind.
With hair? Yeah, that fucking bothers me. Like, I didn't know that was Landon Donovan. I would have been right where, like, that's why I just made fun of you. So that's what you're saying. So you are technically covering your ass for not knowing who Landon Donovan is, because he's a bald guy, right? He's bald, but he's not.
Well, yeah, completely. I mean, he's got some side rim job stuff, but I will say I started off watching the show on FS2 or whatever, and I was like, whatever, and I went to bed and I put it on podcast because like the same show was on Alexi's podcast, so I'm listening to it and I catch up, like I'm adjusting the time to get to like what they were talking about when I turned the TV off, and as soon as I started listening to it, I was like, well, when the fuck did Landon Donovan come on the show? And who was I still didn't know who the fourth guy was, but by his voice, I absolutely recognized it. And then, so I'm laying in bed, got to turn the brightness up on my phone. I start searching like current pictures and stuff. And so then the whole thing and the story of the hair came up, and I was like, holy shit, that was him. It was amazing. But by just voice, we could do a whole podcast on, extra sensory experiences, which we will someday. I've been to the astral plane on accident. We'll get to that. But yeah, by voice, total recognition. Any last thoughts on the World Cup before we wrap this?
I got it. I think I kind of gave my kind of granular view there, and I think kind of wait to see who that fourth team is. I think we find that out in February, maybe January, end of January.
Yeah,
we'll figure out who that last team is, and I think there's room here to find some more thoughts. I think we should bring in some special experts on the World Cup. I think viewers should be looking at in February and March. We've got some of those folks teed up. We do have our folks reaching out to Alexi Lawless and Landon Donovan's folks those contracts should be solidified pretty quick. We will have new funding come January. We are, as we have stated in previous episodes, we have exhausted our slush fund, if you will. But it was well worth it. We were looking for some solid talent down in the Florida area. Unfortunately, it didn't come to fruition, but we made some great contact with some characters. Appreciate that work. We like characters on the show. We like characters on the show because you're looking at.
And we're just not going to get the Disney ones, and they strictly forbid me from approaching any ESPN talent whatsoever. So we got to navigate those waters a little bit. But we'll see you soon, brother.
See ya.